Hello everyone. As part of our essay discussion on the topics which were given in Civil Services Main Examination 2021, I'll be discussing another few topics here. So in these topics, I will be taking up some of the science topics. So when it comes to the section 2 of the essay paper, basically we have certain specific essays, but again, they can be taken to anywhere. That means like we can take them as abstract topics, but again we have to restrict it to the keywords of that particular essay. So I'll be taking some of the essays which are associated with science. So the first topic in that one is like, what is research? What is research? But a blind date with knowledge. So first of all, we have to understand these two keywords. And when it comes to the understanding of this particular essay, we have to know what is science, like to know. Then what is research? What exactly do we do in research? So we have to understand the meanings of science and research here. And next one is a blind date. Blind date means like we don't know about many things. When it comes to the entire world, we can call few things like of which we are aware, or of which we have certain knowledge, and other things are completely mystic to us. Mystic to us means like we have not knowing them very well, or our research into that has not been so successful, or we have not got any kind of inference or conclusion on that. So when it comes to the evolution of the earth, or what has made the atmosphere, we have different theories, like right from Big Bang theory. Then we have like come up with some of the standard model which will explain different matters and different forces in the world, like which are existing today. But out of those 17 fundamental particles in the standard model, we have knowledge about only few particles. And again, the research on other particles is still on. For example, the gravitational waves, for example, the neutrinos, or the Higgs boson particles. So all these are under research. And whatever that we know so far, that is again up to the limited knowledge of the human being, or whatever the research aspects that we have, like acquired there, or like whatever that we tried to know, only that much we have got to know. But there are many unknown things. When you take the entire universe, like we come across many phenomena, and whatever that we know about that phenomena, that we try to document, and we try to create models, and finally we tell that we know this much. So in between what we know and what we don't know, the research comes. So we try to extrapolate our knowledge, try to extrapolate about what we know to what we don't know. So that is what is research. So first of all, we have to start with like any of these examples, maybe with respect to Big Bang theory, maybe it is with respect to fundamental particles, or about what we don't know, or what amuses us. Many people say there are, like the alien species which are, like existing. So from anywhere about what we know and what we don't know, we can start this particular essay. But you have to say like what is science and what is research. You have to define that well. And when it comes to the other dimensions of the essay, why this particular essay has been asked, if you try to go to the context of the essay, that is about the new variants of COVID-19, what we are getting, like hardly we have any knowledge about them. Earlier, when Corona came in the year 2019, to be precise, November, then we knew that this is kind of a virus which is similar to the SARS COVID virus, SARS virus. So we tried to extrapolate our knowledge, whatever that we had regarding virus, that is SARS. Then we try to come up with some of the diagnostic kits. We try to come up with some of the prevention thing. Then we try to come up with certain uses of the medicines which are already existing under the emergency use authorization. So we repurposed many drugs. So repurposing drugs, that means like drugs which were used for the other ailments that can be used for this particular thing, that is only under the emergency use authorization by WHO. Even different countries adopted different strategies from whatever they know. I think the context goes to this thing only. The war that has been fought against COVID-19 right now, it depends upon whatever the little knowledge what we had about the virus earlier. Now different variants, now we have entered the phase of Omicron. We hardly have anything to say upon Omicron. We have to wait, watch, we have to model few things, then only we'll be able to come up with the detection of that, prevention of that, and even the cure of that thing. So here we have to open up the essay with the recent examples of COVID-19. And already I have told about the standard model, gravitational wave, all that thing. And this journey from what we know and what we don't know, that is the mysticism. That is mysticism. This itself is the research. This is what we have to say. And when it comes to mysticism, like we know very few things about our earth also. For example, earlier, few centuries ago, the people had believed that the earth is flat. Earth is flat. That is why they had never gone to the extent of finding the end of the earth. They were scared of that. But when many, the research happened and many hypotheses were built, then it came to the conclusion that the earth is having the geoid shape, or like the spherical shape, whatever that we call today. So geoid shape that is existing. Upon that, we tried to explore the space also. Try to go to space. We tried, many satellites. We tried many telescopes to understand. But when it comes to the very nearer planets like Mars and Venus, whatever that we know about Mars and Venus, that is not completely concluding it. Even with respect to Moon, whatever that we know, that is not yet concluding. So this is the journey. This research is the journey. This exploration is the journey. It will never end. When we say we have completely capitalized upon Mars, or we know what is Mars, what is Venus, or what is Moon, then we might go to the Jovian planets like Saturn, Jupiter, all that thing. Whatever that we are trying in Jupiter or Saturn, they are all flyby missions. Maybe in the future, we can have some of the orbiter missions there. So we'll again extend. So this research will not end. And when you take the entire mystic world, what we don't know and what we know, So this journey will be like very fascinating. But after many centuries also, whatever that we know, again it will remain the same. And what we don't know, it will be again too huge in quantity. So that is what we are trying to do. Other dimensions like the steps of research, how the research is conducted, like what do we do exactly. First of all, we build the hypothesis. This must be like this. This must be like this. Then we try to induce. Then we try to go for the induction, or we use many models or mathematical induction. Then we try to do documentation of that, then trial, assessment, then the results, and even the further extension of the research that we do. So this topic is basically saying about like what we know and what we don't know, and the journey between that. You can take many examples. Earlier to like the Green Revolution, we didn't know what are hybrid crops. Again, the research, like research into the agronomy or research into the agricultural practices, like that gave us hybrid varieties. Then today we have landed up in GM crops. Again, this is the product of few decades of research into biotechnology. So today we have many things. And when it comes to like different aspects of our life or different aspects of our technology, again, our journey has started from very primitive things. Let's say we didn't know what is fire. We didn't know what is a wheel. But our journey started from there. and we came up with engines, we came up with wheels, we came up with cars, we came up with very important or like very what you can say, advanced automobile systems. And after that, Wright brothers gave the wings to our research, that is like flying. Then we came up with aeronautical research. Then we started flying, and we are flying different objects now. Now, like we are in the era of like the space research also. That is like we are launching satellites. In that again, we have found many things. We try to fit those satellites with many like cameras or many radiometries through which we are trying to analyze so many things on Earth, different planets, all that thing. So this exploration, like it will not stop. It will not stop. It will be continuous. It will be ever evolving into the dark. Into the dark, that means what we don't know. So that is why like this is called a blind date. And you might have seen why this is like called as a blind date. All our research, like whatever that we have started, we can't say that efficiently we have ended with the results. Many of them are failures. After many failures only we get, for example, you can give the example of Thomas Alva Edison or any research for that matter. We can't say that only in the first go we got the like meaningful results. No. So this blind date, it comes with lot of risk. It comes with a lot of danger. It comes with a lot of investment also. So that is what we need to explain in the mid of the essay. So you can take any examples for that matter, and you can explain after how many debacles, how many failures we got to, we got to the results, or we got to the product, or we got to the technology. And when it comes to the blind date, again, like the risks which are involved. For example, like whatever the variants that we have about COVID-19, so we can easily point out towards some of the very important experiments that we have, that is gain of function. Gain of function. So gain of function, basically it tries to analyze the mutation of the virus, but again, this will be having like the other side of the effect also. So like the dual use functions, or like the double-edged sword, what we can say, if it is successful, then it is going to like give a lot of benefits, or we are going to get benefited out of that. But if it ends up in danger, it ends up in some riskier things, again that will be like too big to handle. That is what we are seeing in the current aspects. And when it comes to the technologies like bleeding edge or the cutting edge technologies, again they come up with a lot of baggages attached. Maybe it is with respect to funding, maybe it is with respect to the risk that we have for the environment, all that thing. So basically your essay should revolve around what we know, what we are not knowing, and what we are doing to know about them, and what all are the risks. This blind date can be successful also, but many failures will be there. So totally you can bring up many dimensions, many examples into this one, and you have to write. And finally, this research is inevitable because no doubt we have become the human-centric world in the sense like whatever that we are doing, that is for the benefit of the human beings. Then comes the other animals, then comes the nature. But largely, or by and large, we are focusing on human-centric world. And when it comes to the resources that cater to the human beings, that is less. So whatever the resources that we are having in our kitty is less, but our population is more. And our aspirations are more, our desires are more, and we don't want to settle in few things, or we don't want to settle with whatever that we have. So definitely our mind, our body, or our heart, or our emotions always try to go for the next thing. So that is why this research is inevitable. If Green Revolution was not there, it was very difficult for like feeding the hunger, or like the hungry citizens. And when it comes to the biotechnology now, though we have many beliefs, or when it comes to GM crops, we have many obstructions to it. But one or the other day, we are going to embrace that one because we need to feed many. And when it comes to energy security earlier, like we burnt wood, we burnt fuels, we burnt oil, but now we are going for the other non-conventional sources of energy also. That is like solar, wind, all that thing. We are trying to create potential. We are trying to build infrastructure. We are trying to invest. And when it comes to nuclear energy also, we are trying to set up a lot of nuclear reactors. That is inevitable. That is inevitable because our needs are such, and our wants are such, and our desires are such. So we cannot do away with the research. So this research has to go on. But when it comes to the ancient systems, what we had earlier, again, the ancient systems, the ancient science, what we had, even that is relevant today. But why don't we believe that very easily? Why don't we believe that very easily, or why don't we adopt that very easily? For example, people make fun of the earlier research, like we had internet in the Dwapara Yuga. That is what is the statement. We had Vimanayana during Treta Yuga, all that thing. Yeah, we laugh on that, or we raise fingers on that, we raise questions on that, but we cannot deny the fact that science or that technology was not existing then. Only the belief factor is making us to believe that, yeah, it was there. But what is the lack in between? What is the lack in between? That is the documentation. We don't have the access to the documentation, or maybe that has not been documented at all. Even when it comes to the many belief systems in India, when it comes to the medicinal plants, like our tribal people or the forest dwellers have like many potential medicinal plants with them, but their belief systems don't allow them to make them commercialized, because they believe that if they commercialize them, then the effect of those medicines will not be long lasting. That is what they believe. But when it comes to research, they just use that one. They don't put them into research. But during this bioprospecting, biopiracy, all that thing, we are trying to access to all these medicinal plants, and we are trying to put them into research, and we are trying to take the patent, we are trying to make them as a products, or we are trying to make them as the panacea for many ailments. But again, for this, like the scientific temper, what we develop during our growth or during our education, all that thing, that is also equally important. But again, like between what we know and what we don't know, like there are a lot of things. So we have to have the scientific temper, but again we have to fight with the belief system. But again, that belief system is not wrong also, because they have certain experimentation on that, they believe in that thing, and sometimes that is against the science also. So always this fight between science and mysticism will go on, but the research between those things is going to clear the like mess, or it is going to make many things clearer. So research will go on, and there is no end for the research. So that is how we have to tell. But again, when it comes to the human beings growth or human being sustenance, like no matter how scientific you are, you believe in the mystic forces. The best example would be before any satellite launch, like in ISRO, the puja is conducted. That is like believing in that mysticism, and that is like giving importance or giving value to what we don't know. That itself is the worship. Believing what we don't know, or believing that superpower or the name that we give for what we don't know. So that itself makes this world very beautiful. That is the balance between the science and mysticism. So basically, research comes in between these things, and we are evolving, and we have to evolve, and this research has to go on, and whatever the risks that are there with that one, that is also inevitable, and this has to be like this, and we have to strike a balance between what we know and what we don't know. This is how we have to wind up this particular topic. Thank you.